Hey, good morning to everybody. It's Daryl here, aka Artist and Recovery. And I came across an editorial in a local newspaper, and I really want to talk about it. This was from this paper. It is the Waterbury Republican, published in Waterbury, Connecticut. And obviously, it is a very right-leaning newspaper. And it's just one of the papers that I like to get all the news, whether it's left or right leaning. I like to know what my enemies are thinking and saying, basically, is how I put it. That's why I still have X, why I still read and go over X every morning, is to see what my enemies are talking about. And I came across an editorial. This editorial is by a gentleman called Chris Powell. And here's the headline. It's probably backwards here, but it says, Democrats think Trump is a worse enemy than Iran. Democrats think Trump is a worse enemy than Iran. True. Definitely. 100%. Now, this is just off the top of my head. Let me say this first and foremost. I'm not a supporter of Iran. I have nothing against them personally. I think they're an interesting country. From what I've seen inside, their architecture, their arts, their people, I don't have any beef against them. I wouldn't support their radical government, but I don't hate them. I don't support them. But do I consider Trump a bigger threat? Definitely. And I just have a few things that I, just off the top of my head, like freedoms, health, way of life, stuff like that. Okay, freedoms, just off the top of my head. Trump is proposing arresting reporters, leakers, people that say things about him that he doesn't like. And I have this YouTube channel, so I seriously, I'm not just making this up, I seriously worry about my freedoms of being able to make these videos. And I actually have a monetized channel, so this also has to do with my financial income. So I really believe Trump is a threat to that. Inflation and his tariffs. Obviously, prices have not gone down; they've gone up. Gas has gone down a bit, but financially, I would have to say he's a danger to my finances. Here's the big one, though: health. With RFK and his vaccine kind of thing. If you don't know this, the love of my life died 4 years ago, Audrey. She was my childhood sweetheart. We were going to get married, but she was a hardcore Trump supporter. She refused to wear a mask. She refused to get vaccinated. She moved down to Florida, and I was going to follow after her. We were going to live together and get married. As soon as she got to Florida in the summer of 2021, she hadn't been vaccinated. She caught the Delta variant of COVID. Within a week, she ended up in ICU. She was intubated and put in a coma, and she died. She died a horrible death, alone, isolated, in a Florida hospital. Yeah, so I actually blame Trump and right-leaning politics for taking the life of my girlfriend. So do I worry about my health and my family's health with RFK and his war on vaccines? Definitely. Measles. This is the biggest measles outbreak right now is in decades in the United States. Healthcare. My healthcare. He was supposed to reduce prices on medications. I haven't seen any prices go down. My way of life, cutting funding to libraries and museums. I'm an artist. Cutting funding to the arts, again, with my health and my way of life. Hiking. He's looking to sell off public lands. And with health, too, climate change. He's cutting funding to the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which gives people first warnings when tornadoes, hurricanes come. So that has to do with health. Cutting funding to the CDC for future pandemics. These are why I consider Trump a threat, an immediate current threat. And these are just off the top of my head. Pollution. He's rolling back all sorts of regulations on pollution. Heavy metals in the water, in the air. these are all current threats that I blame Donald Trump and his administration for, that are a danger to me, my way of life, and my health. And these are just off the top of my head. So how does Iran stack up against that? Well, I guess, I don't know if you consider, since he's bombed them, and if that had any impact on it at all. Let's just say it didn't. Let's just say it didn't have any impact at all. Okay, so Iran is working on a nuclear weapon. They may or may not have one in the coming years. They have no delivery system to deliver to the United States. The earliest they would have a delivery system to send it to the United States might be in 10 or 20 years. I'm going to be 60 years old. Let's be honest. I'll probably be dead in 20 or 30 years. So by the time Iran could actually, would they have the will or the political will or desire to actually bomb the United States? You know, North Korea hasn't yet, and they talk about it constantly. You know, so I don't consider Iran a direct nuclear threat to the United States whatsoever. Might they use it against a Middle Eastern country? Possibly, that's a possibility. Or against a U.S. base? I think they know better. I think just like North Korea knows better. You know, seeing that we have thousands of nuclear weapons, and they're going to have one or two, it wouldn't be a wise idea for them. That would pretty much be the end of their country. So I really don't think they're going to do that. Even now, I'm sure they're going to have a nuclear weapon. You know, because after we bomb the hell out of them, they're gonna. I think it's going to increase their desire to build a nuclear weapon. Okay, what about terrorist attacks? All right. Well, let me just say this about terrorist attacks in the United States. If Republicans can live with and accept mass shootings on a weekly basis in schools, in malls, everywhere, firemen, just a day or two ago, if they can live with that and accept that as a way of life, well, then I can live and accept with the possibility of terrorist attacks in the United States. Right? Makes sense to me. Let me know what you think. Is Donald Trump a bigger threat than Iran? And those are just off the top of my head. I believe he is a bigger threat to my way of life, to my health, to my freedoms. Those are just, like I said, three things off the top of my head. Let me know what you think. Have a good morning.